To get in tighter, but I don't want anybody to be blocked. Lola? Laura?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't want you to be blocked. Okay? Everybody over here? All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's an honor for me to be joined by over 20 legislators from Sacramento and from Washington, D.C. We want to make sure that everybody understands that Los Angeles is united. There's no daylight between all of us, and all of us understand that we are here today in this situation because of raids that happened in our city on Friday, and now the raids are in multiple cities within our county. I always raise the point that the day before, on Thursday of last week, everything was peaceful in Los Angeles. Nothing was happening here. Nothing was going on that warranted the behavior of the federal government over the last few days. We are here today because the raids have caused fear and panic, because they felt empowered that they could shove and cuff a U.S. senator. How could you come to town and say you are rescuing Los Angeles and you don't even know the U.S. senator? We're here today because we are clear that we are a test case, and they want to see just how far federal overreach can go. Can the federal government come in and seize power from a state and from a local jurisdiction? How much will the American people put up with? How much will Californians put up with? How much will Angelenos put up with? How much will people from all of the other 88 cities in our county put up with? And we're here to tell you that we're not going to put up with it. We're not going to solve anything by chasing people at car washes, by intimidating families near schools, or by sending troops into an American city. It breaks my heart to think about a milestone event in a family, such as a graduation from an elementary school, or from a junior high, or from a high school, and that families feel that they cannot go to the graduation. Are people in an emergency room worried that maybe they will come in and be detained? Are people in homeless shelters? What happened to the goal of violent felons, gang members? What happened to that? I have a hard time believing that the day laborers who each day try to survive by getting a day's work is a threat to our city. So think about all that is going on in the world today, and then ask yourself, why, if all of these troops are deployed here, why are there more military troops in Los Angeles than in Iraq? Just think about that for a minute. So we're here today because we're not going to let anyone divide us. We're here today to show the world that the real America, what the real America is all about, what Los Angeles is all about. And Los Angeles is about diversity, is about embracing the immigrant population, is about celebrating the fact that there are sectors of our economy that frankly would not function if it was not for immigrant labor. So tomorrow across the country there will be demonstrations that are planned, but now these demonstrations we expect to be even larger because of what has happened in our city. But we do call on people over the weekend to demonstrate peacefully, to exercise your First Amendment right, to not play into the hands where it could be used as a pretext to roll out troops in our city. So let me just be clear about the truth of LA. We are a city of almost 4 million people. So the protests, and some that have devolved into violence, understand, have taken place on about 1 square mile of this city that is 500 square miles. So be clear, LA is not under fire all throughout the city. You are talking about a very small part of the city and a very small number of people. The overwhelming majority of people have demonstrated peacefully. And let me at this point introduce our local Congresswoman, Sidney Kamlacher, who is here representing the House, along with a number of her colleagues.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank the Mayor for your unwavering leadership, during these challenging and unprecedented times. Thank you for bringing us here together. I am Sydney Kamlager-Dove. I am the Congresswoman for the 37th Congressional District. Many of these raids have been taking place in my district, throughout the district. I am here with colleagues from Congress, Representative Takano, Representative Chu, and Representative Torres. Mark Takano, Judy Chu, Norma Torres. So, California has the largest immigration population in this country. We are also the fourth largest economy in the world. There is a relationship between those two data points. California and Los Angeles is also the entertainment epicenter. So it is no wonder that Donald Trump brought his production to California. But it is a production of trauma. This is not about immigration reform. These agents are coming into our cities and they are detaining U.S. citizens, they are detaining legal immigrants, and they are detaining immigrants who are going through the legal process with their status. They are running into apparel stores, they are running onto farms, they are running into diners, and they are snatching our community members, our friends, and our family members. This is not immigration reform. I have to say that. Let me also say, not only is this impacting our communities and our neighbors, it is impacting our businesses and it is impacting this economy. Taxpayers are footing $134 million for these raids to happen because Stephen Miller made an arbitrary number of 3,000 people that he wants rounded up every single day. Agents are not giving identification. They are not showing judicial warrants. They are not inquiring to even see who it is that they are trying to detain. I thought they were looking for folks with criminal records. But it seems like they are looking for anyone they can find. That is a problem. It is also very important. This is why members of Congress are here. What is not being discussed is how this is a decoy for the hundreds of billions of dollars that Donald Trump is taking from us to cut Medicaid. It will close community clinics that are being raided. It will shut down doctors' offices and hospitals that are being raided. He is cutting educational funding for children with disabilities. He is cutting funding for our small businesses. He is cratering this economy with his taxes. And then on top of that, he is costing this city and this state tens of millions of dollars with this economic and social trauma. We are here standing in solidarity. These are members from up and down the state who have come here to say stop. Stop this madness. Stop this economic trauma. And if you are not here working lawfully and not detaining and brutalizing U.S. senators and union leaders, then you need to go immediately. With that, I would like to introduce Senate Pro Tem of the California State Senate, Mike McGuire.
Good evening. I want to take a moment to say thank you so much, Congresswoman, for your advocacy and your fight. I also want to mention Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass' steady hand has been guiding the city through some of the most tumultuous times the city and county of Los Angeles has seen in over a century. And I think we owe her a debt of gratitude for her incredible work in standing strong for the most vulnerable. And I want to say thank you so much, Mayor, and we're grateful to partner with you. I'm joined today by several senators, Senator Durazo, Richardson, Smallwood Cuevas, Menjivar, and Perez, and we are incredibly grateful for your work representing the city and county of Los Angeles. You know, it's not lost on us that it's been 60 years. 60 years since the National Guard was deployed over a governor's objection. And the last time that this type of deployment happened was to help kids walk to school in a segregated South. Fast forward to 2025, now in Los Angeles, the National Guard has been deployed to separate kids from their parents. America has faced tremendous peril over the last 248 years, and today we are at one of the most dramatic tipping points of our democracy. There is no justification in a democracy for the un-American federal siege of a great American city and this great county. Warrantless arrests, federalizing the National Guard, mobilizing federal troops on California soil, racial profiling of American citizens, detaining law-abiding residents, the lack of due process for detainees, throwing U.S. senators to the ground for speaking freely, and threatening the arrest of American governors. These aren't acts of a normal American president. These are acts of an authoritarian government. Candidly, acts of a thug. And let me be clear, California will never back down. We will bend to no king, and the people of California will prevail. The harder President Trump comes for the Golden State, the more unified California will be. Californians are always on the side of good, the side of justice, and the people will always win over the power of a few. And I'd like to end it right here with this and talk about our mutual aid system in the state of California. The state of California has the largest and most effective emergency response and law enforcement networks in the United States of America. And I can't be any more clear about what I'm about to say. The state stands ready to meet any and all public safety and emergency response requests from Mayor Bass and the Board of Supervisors for the County of Los Angeles. The State Office of Emergency Services has been and will continue to meet any and all needs for requests of assistance. Candidly, the mayor is working with the State Office of Emergency Services tomorrow for the marches that will be taking place across the city. And you know who knows this? President Trump. He knows that we can take care of our own, and it's time to end this siege and stand down. Otherwise, Californians will continue to stand up for our people. It is now my honor to be able to introduce the Speaker of the California State Assembly, Robert Rivas.
So California, we face one of the most challenging moments in recent memory. And not because our people are divided, but because our democracy is being tested from the very top. The Trump administration's recent actions, unilaterally federalizing and deploying our National Guard, conducting sweeping immigration raids in our neighborhoods, and now forcibly removing a sitting U.S. senator from a Homeland Security meeting. These are not just abuses of power. They are assaults on the rule of law. They are violations of decency. They are acts of desperation from a president who thrives on division, thrives on chaos, and who fears accountability. Now, let me be absolutely clear. Here in California, we are not going to be intimidated. I stand here as the first Speaker of the California State Assembly, born to immigrant farm workers. This is personal. My family came to this country from Mexico, seeking opportunity. Opportunity that they found in the agricultural fields of California. Opportunity that they found in the classrooms of our public schools and in the promise of this state. And that promise still belongs to every single Californian, no matter where they were born or how long they have been here in our state. I was recently reminded that throughout our history, from the internment of Japanese Americans to Proposition 187, to the mass deportations of the 1950s, California has weathered moments when fear was weaponized against our most vulnerable. But in every single case, we rose, we organized, we resisted, and we did it with courage, with community, and without violence. Without violence. And now, in this moment, we must do the same again. And I urge every Californian, do not take Donald Trump's bait. Do not allow his cruelty to spark chaos in our streets, here in Los Angeles and throughout our state. Local leaders, law enforcement, they're working hard to keep us safe. And we must work just as hard to keep the peace. This is a time for unity. It's a time for strength, for love of neighbor. And to every immigrant family living in fear at this moment, know this. You all belong here. You matter, and your state is fighting for you. That's why I'm proud to be here with Mayor Bass. I'm proud to be here with our congressional representatives. Proud to stand here with members of the Senate, and incredibly proud to stand here with so many of my assembly colleagues. Tina McKinnon, Lisa Calderon, Blanca Pacheco, Rick Zabur, Celeste Rodriguez, Isaac Bryan, Mike Gibson, Avelino Valencia, Almer Suchi, Nick Schultz, Sade Alawari, Jackie Irwin, Jose Solache, Mark Gonzalez. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Oh, I said Zabur. I said Zabur. Oh, Jessica Colosa, Mike Fong. There's a lot of us in the assembly. We're all here. But I'm proud to stand with everyone here today. And please let history show that in the face of tyranny, California stood its ground. We did not flinch. Thank you all so very much. And I want to invite the next speaker, Representative Ms. Judy Chu.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu from Los Angeles County's San Gabriel Valley. I am here to stand with Mayor Karen Bass and all the members of the California delegation as well as the other elected officials as we express our collective outrage over Donald Trump's attack on Los Angeles and his attacks on our immigrant communities and on all our communities. As we speak, there are U.S. Marines deployed on the streets of Los Angeles. The president has seized control of our California National Guard without the governor's approval and threatened to arrest the governor for political reasons. And just yesterday, we saw Senator Alex Padilla get forcibly removed and violently handcuffed simply for trying to get answers from the Secretary of Homeland Security. This is unprecedented, dangerous, and authoritarian. We will not stand by and allow this to happen in the United States of America. When Trump's immigration enforcement came storming through downtown Los Angeles, sweeping up not just immigrants, but even U.S. citizens, and hauling them away to detention centers, I knew we had to act. I got a call from advocates sick with worry about the fate of those arrested, because family members and lawyers could not contact them. They had no way of knowing whether these detainees had food or medicines. So the next morning, Representatives Derek Tran, Gil Cisneros, and I drove straight to Adelanto Detention Facility to exercise our lawful constitutional responsibility of oversight. But when we showed up, ICE actually closed the chain link fences right in front of our eyes and put chains and locks around the fence. They refused to let us in, defying the law that states that Congress has the right of oversight of any DHS facility at any time. And so, what is clear is that ICE believes it's above the law because Trump believes he's above the law. And that's why he sent in those National Guard members without the governor's approval. But we are here to say we stand with our constituents and immigrant communities across this country. We stand with the right of Americans and immigrants to peacefully dissent against the administration and to protest peacefully. We must put an end to Donald Trump's inhumane and disgusting attacks on immigrant communities and on our Constitution. And now I would like to turn the podium over to my colleague, Congressmember Mark Takano.
Thank you, Congresswoman Chu. I'm pleased to be here with my former colleague, now the mayor of Los Angeles, and all of the members from the California delegation to Congress and members of the legislature and the leadership of the legislature to stand here in solidarity with my friends and compadres from Los Angeles. I represent a constituency in Riverside County, the communities of Riverside, Moreno Valley, Paris, and Jurupa Valley, the Inland Empire. And I'm going to tell you, the people of the IE see through the sham being perpetrated by this president. And what sham am I talking about? The sham that there is massive uprisings here in Los Angeles, which the Los Angeles Police Department cannot properly manage, along with the sheriff. That the images that distort reality coming out from the television screen, which keep focusing on, there's some incidences of property damage and some attacks on law enforcement, which I and all of us, we condemn. If you break the law, you will be held accountable. But those images distort the impression to the rest of America, and the president is intentionally perpetrating a sham, an expensive one at that. $134 million, as Sidney Kamlager-Dove said, for the deployment of 4,000, actually the federalization of 4,000 guardsmen, another 700 Marines. As of last Monday, I got a briefing from the leader of the National Guard. They have a very narrow mission of defending 3 federal buildings, 50 persons at each of those buildings, relieved by another 150 every 12 hours. That's 300. So about 1,600 of the original 2,000 are not being used. $134 million, another $45 million being spent on this glorifying parade tomorrow in Washington, D.C. of our military assets. That's nearly $200 million that is being, I would say, a very good subject for DOJ to look at, because they're wanting to pursue this disastrous, big, bad, ugly bill, which is going to take away health care from 15 million people. But yet they have enough money to unnecessarily send in military, and illegally, by the way, military forces into L.A. I want to address Senator Padilla's the takedown of Senator Padilla as he was trying to simply ask a question of a cabinet secretary who I'm sure is not answering questions, period. They threw him down, handcuffed him. Look, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon crashed my press conference in front of the Department of Education. Nobody took her down and handcuffed her, even though she's the worldwide wrestling leader of all of that. I'm sure that would have been great entertainment. And that's all about it's entertainment that they're trying to create distraction from the sham that they're perpetrating. And this is in no way how a U.S. senator should be treated. Finally, let me just say that this is a serious moment of an authoritarian president who wants to normalize the idea that the military is his personal police force that he can use to enforce his policies. I would say to those people who want to protest and rise up, this is a moment for us to be careful and to do so with thoughtfulness, not to sit back, because if there was a moment when you ask yourself, looking at history, would I have crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge and risk my head being cracked open in the service of a bigger idea of America? That is the question you should be asking yourself now. but realize the sacrifice and the discipline of those freedom marchers who crossed that bridge. They did not distract with violence. They did not nonviolence was their principle. If you want to ask yourself the question, would I have sat in the back of the bus in defiance of unfair laws? This is the time to ask those questions and to also think carefully about the tactics. It is time to use our voices. It is time to put a check on this authoritarianism coming out of Washington. I want to now recognize and bring up to the podium my colleague from the San Gabriel Valley, Norma Torres. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Bass, thank you so much for your leadership and your love for the city of Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles has a very special place in my heart because I have spent 17 and a half years here in the 90s and through the mid-2000s serving the community here as a 911 dispatcher, taking your calls when you have an emergency. As a member of the Appropriations Committee, I am demanding full accountability and reimbursement for the local costs incurred, including injuries to local officers and damages caused by the chaos unleashed when the Trump administration recklessly deployed the military and ICE agents into our communities. They are the ones who created this unrest, and they are the ones that need to foot the bill. California, by the way, in 2022, the last year that we have on record, paid over $262 billion to the federal government. It is the federal government that is on welfare from California. During this appropriations week, our committee, we were supposed to take up a bill on Homeland Security. We failed to do that. Why? Because Republicans did not want to be put on notice. I want to direct some of my comments to the Latino community that could be watching at this moment. Esta semana hemos visto un aumento alarmante, inaceptable en las acciones de migración federales y en el abuso del poder, especialmente enfocado aquí en Los Ángeles y comunidades cercanas. ICE está persiguiendo a residentes de California en sus trabajos, en sus casas, en sus calles, todo para cumplir cuotas. Estas son tácticas preocupantes que violan nuestras leyes y los derechos legales de las personas sin cumplir debido proceso. Están arrestando adultos y niños, incluso después de sus casos de la corte, y hasta están quitándoles el estatus legal a inmigrantes que ya lo tenían. Como miembro del Comité de Asignaciones del Congreso, estoy exigiendo que haya responsabilidad total y que el gobierno federal pague todos los costos locales que han causado, incluyendo oficiales heridos y daños materiales por el caos que provocaron cuando la administración de Trump mandó al ejército y a los marines y más agentes de ICE a nuestras comunidades sin justificación. Ellos son los que están provocando esta desorden. Esta semana en el Comité de Asignaciones se suponía que íbamos a tener la oportunidad de pedir cuentas mientras discutimos el presupuesto para seguridad nacional del próximo año. Pero los republicanos de la Cámara cerraron la Junta porque no quieren dar cuentas. Mandar a la Guardia Nacional y a los marines a nuestras calles sin autoridad legal ni coordinación con líderes locales no solo es peligroso, es ilegal y no tiene sentido. Están malgastando dinero y sinceramente dañando la cuarta economía más grande del mundo, que es la base de los Estados Unidos. Cuando hay desorden causada por prácticas abusivas o negligentes, exijo la responsabilidad total y que se paguen los daños y las lesiones causadas a nuestras comunidades locales. Es nuestro deber constitucional asegurar que los fondos federales no se vayan a gastar, abusar o silenciar a comunidades con estos ingresos. Sin embargo, esta administración ha dejado claro lo que quieren: estar dispuestos a violar derechos civiles, enforzarlos en las comunidades latinas y usar agencias federales para crear miedo. No están persiguiendo criminales, están atacando a las personas trabajadoras que son la base de la economía de este país. Tenemos que alzar la voz y exigir transparencia, justicia y responsabilidad. Nuestras comunidades deben participar con protestas pacíficas y también ser testigos de los abusos tomando fotos y videos. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Oh. I now want to invite Assemblymember Tina McKenna to the podium. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Assemblymember Tina McKenna, and I represent the 61st Assembly District, and it is not on fire. Feel free to come and visit the 61st Assembly District adjacent to LA. It's beautiful. I am also the LA County Delegation Chair, and I would like to start out by thanking my Speaker and Pro Tem for coming up and supporting us today. I'd also like to thank our Mayor Karen Bass for her brilliant leadership in leading the city in this last week. I serve as the chair of the LA County Legislative Delegation. My friends, LA is strong, diverse, and resilient. Our resilience is our strength, and we will not be intimidated by anyone threatening our peace. This president and this administration, they not like us. I am so proud of AG Bonta and Governor Newsom. They secured an emergency restraining order yesterday blocking President Trump's takeover of the state's guards. This is a win for America. But a 3-person judge appellate panel will hold the restraining order until June 17th, and then they will make a decision. I am so proud of our governor and our AG. But right now, our court system, and the judges, this is your time. The judges, we are looking, America is counting on you to follow the law, counting on you to follow the Constitution. And so this is your time. When we look back 10 years ago, 10 years later, 20 years later, we're going to look back at these judges, at our court systems, and we're going to see if it really works. So America is on your shoulders, judges, and we're counting on you to do what you're supposed to do. Also, I'd like to tell a really quick story about 5 nannies today that were walking some babies. They took the babies to the park, and ICE came upon them. They ripped the children away from them, put the children in vans, took the women, got in touch with the parents. One of those women were a U.S. citizen. The only reason why they didn't take them was because of her boss. Now, they would have taken this woman and locked her up, and I don't know when she would have gotten out. But this is what's happening on the streets. This is what's happening on the streets of LA, and nannies are not criminals. So what I have to tell you, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is to please stop. Stop with the nonsense. Thank you. And next, I'd like to welcome up my co-chair, Senator Maria Elena Durazo.
Buenas tardes. I too want to thank Mayor Bass for her courage and for her leadership. All my colleagues who are here, you could see at the different levels of government, we are definitely all united. I am proud to be the state senator representing this area, exactly where we are today, exactly where the detention center, exactly the streets around the detention center and the courts. And I want to just share with you very quickly, it is these streets that I and others over the last 3 decades have organized marches and rallies and demonstrations in support of our immigrant communities. We have organized rallies and actions exercising our right to protest. From as small as 25 people to 5,000 people to 1 million people. And we have never, ever had this happen in our city, where you have a military taking over, where you have people being chased in our neighborhoods, and all of this just to create fear in our immigrant community. But not just in those that are immigrants, those who are the children and the grandchildren of immigrants, people who have come from all over the world. From all over the world. We're proud to be the place, to be the second largest of any community. Armenian community, the Mexican community, Central American community, you name it. They're here from all over the world. We are so proud of our welcoming them. We are so proud of their hard work in Los Angeles, in California, and overall contributing to the whole nation. We are so proud. That's why we have laws that respect them. That's why we've passed many things that will help those communities. And those children and those grandchildren deserve, based on the hard work of their parents and grandparents. The Constitution is clear. Due process applies to all people on American soil. Everyone. And that is not happening today. Why? Why? Because they're immigrants? Because they look Mexican? Is that why that's happening? Is that why the president thinks that he could get away with it? Quiero decir que no nos van a intimidar. Lo que estamos presenciando es un ataque contra nuestras comunidades migrantes y nuestra democracia. La Constitución es clara. El debido proceso se aplica a todas las personas, no a las que ellos escogen, a todas las personas en territorio de esta nación. Sin embargo, estamos presenciando redadas de ICE que le niegan protecciones constitucionales. Vamos a seguir con nuestras organizaciones de comunidad, con los sindicatos, seguir organizando, protegiendo a las comunidades inmigrantes. No están solos. No están solos. Aquí es una prueba, una muestra de todas las organizaciones que existen, que vamos a seguir defendiendo hasta el último a todos los californianos, todos los angelinos, todos los que viven en Estados Unidos. No vamos a dejar que nos dividan, no vamos a dejar que nos quiten nuestros propios derechos. Y quiero recordarles que aquí, en estas mismas calles, es en donde organizamos las demostraciones, las marchas pacíficas, no violentas, y por eso tenemos el respeto de toda la nación. Thank you very much, and I would like to introduce Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez.
Good evening. I want to echo the heart and soul of what's been shared tonight. My name is Mark Gonzalez, and I'm proud to represent California's 54th Assembly District, a resilient, beautiful mosaic that includes downtown Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, Montebello, Pico Union, Koreatown, Commerce, and Little Tokyo. Communities where immigrants don't just live, they lead. 1 week ago, every quarter of my district was hit, destabilizing without warning, without due process by federal agents, by a president who treats our city like it's his political playground. I come before you not just as an elected official, but as a son of Los Angeles, someone who grew up on these streets and believes deeply in the strength and the soul of our people. I'm also a proud resident of Chinatown bordering downtown LA, just half a mile from here. Again, this week I've heard the same stories over and over. Kids and families left behind, grandparents afraid to go to their dialysis appointments, families afraid just to simply go to church, parents afraid to go to work, kids too scared to show up for their last day of school or even their graduation, children walking alone to buy groceries because their parents fear that ICE is outside. And yes, immigrants are cooks, they're cleaners, they're construction workers, but we're also doctors, we're lawyers, we're teachers, we're police officers, we're scientists, we're firefighters, and we're politicians. And ICE raids that are sweeping through our cities and our state, and in the shadows with fear and cruelty, families were torn apart. Children woke up to silence where there should have been laughter. This isn't public safety. This is psychological warfare on working families. Let's be clear, under the leadership of our Mayor Karen Bass, our Chief McDonald and Sheriff Luna and CHP and our local agencies that are managing this moment, thousands of sworn officers already serve the city, the county, and the state. We didn't need federal troops. We don't need Marines. We need leadership that respects the Constitution. Trump claimed victory before the National Guard even hit the ground. That wasn't leadership. That's propaganda. And now he militarizes our streets, he unleashes ICE to violate due process and tears families apart. Our National Guard took an oath to the Constitution, not to one man's agenda. But we will not meet cruelty with chaos. We will not trade justice for destruction. To every Californian, this weekend, protest. You march, you organize, but you do it with love, you do it with discipline, and with the courage that built this city. Because here in Los Angeles, we don't run from the storm. We rise through it. We turn pain into power. We turn fear into faith. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. We will rise, not just for ourselves, but for each other. And I want to thank the colleagues who are here from all over the state, my speaker, and to our pro tem, our county, our city, but more importantly as well to our staff in LA and the Capitol behind the scenes, doing the essential work and the important job to support all of us to hold this administration accountable. And to this administration, you might be getting by, but you won't get away. And behind me with us today, this is our California National Guard. This is Los Angeles. This is California. Our faith is stronger than their fear. And I'd like to invite up next to me my brother from the neighboring Assembly District who last week went through his own personal experience trying to defend his community, Assemblymember José Solache.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es José Luis Solache, orgullosamente represento el sureste de Los Ángeles. Primero, un agradecimiento a nuestra alcaldesa Karen Bass, que ha hecho un buen trabajo en la comunidad aquí de Los Ángeles, y a todos los representantes que representan aquí, a senadores, senadoras y asambleístas. Yo represento una comunidad trabajadora y quiero mandarle un mensaje a una comunidad muy específicamente. A todos aquellos que radican afuera de Los Ángeles, en California, en toda la nación, y a la comunidad internacional. En Los Ángeles no hay guerra. En Los Ángeles hay comunidad trabajadora, comunidad que nos trabajan todos los días con orgullo, con corazón y con mucho compromiso a nuestras comunidades. Gente que ha venido a este país con sueños, sueños de trabajar, de comprar una casa. Aquí no hay guerra. Toda la comunidad internacional, nacional, hablen con sus representantes, ocupamos su ayuda. Aquí en Los Ángeles, qué tristemente que en mi distrito, hoy día en Maywood, California, en una clínica médica, donde hay familias y niños que ocupan atención médica, había agentes federales. En mi municipio de Linwood, caravana de agentes federales a Plaza México, a donde la gente va a contribuir a nuestra economía, a comprar algo a su hijo, una nieve, comida. En Paramount, California, 60 y más agentes federales uniformados con máscaras. Enséñanos la cara. ¿Quién son? Gentes con placas de Texas, Arizona. Esta gente no conoce a nuestra comunidad. Recogiendo a gente de Home Depot en el estacionamiento. ¿Dónde están las leyes? Este país está hecho de leyes. ¿Dónde están los documentos que digan que son criminales? No, señores y señoras. Esta comunidad que yo represento, que representamos nosotros, es comunidad trabajadora, que se merece dignidad. Yo represento una comunidad que contribuye todos los días a esta economía. Cuando vayan a comer, hay gente trabajadora ahí. Cuando vayan a la escuela, hay maestros, hay directores. Hay gente angelina con mucho corazón. Así que, Los Ángeles, comunidad internacional, aquí no hay guerra. Aquí solo hay gente que tiene muchos sueños y corazón. Por favor, presidente de Estados Unidos, pare esas redadas. Pare los militares de esas comunidades. No somos criminales. Somos gente con corazón, con sueños, que queremos abogar más por nuestras comunidades. Me uno hoy a la alcaldesa, a los senadores, asambleístas, a nuestro presidente de la Asamblea, del Senado. Estamos luchando todos los días por ustedes. Y vamos a alzar esta voz que ustedes nos eligieron para hacer. Y este fin de semana, último mensaje a todas las comunidades. Yo sé que mañana es un día muy grande. Háganlo pacíficamente. Porque yo sé que somos personas con dignidad y vamos a enseñar al presidente de Estados Unidos y a todas las comunidades y a todos los policías que sí nos cuidan todos los días, que lo vamos a hacer de una manera respetuosa. ¿Por qué? Porque al igual que muchos de ustedes, yo vengo de padres inmigrantes, orgullosamente de León, Guanajuato. Y yo estaré con comunidad pacíficamente, con mi derecho estadounidense, diciendo que no queremos estas redadas en nuestras comunidades. Gracias, sigan pacíficamente mañana y enseñen lo que van a enseñar, es mucho corazón. Gracias.
We're going to open it up for questions. First to Robert and then to Natalie.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Two-part question. In the second part, if anyone in the delegation would like to weigh in, because it does, of course, impact everyone in the state of California. But Mayor Best, let's start right now. 49 arrests overnight in the city of Los Angeles since you've instituted the curfew. It appears a lot of the quote-unquote bad actors that you have talked about have started to exit
Correct.
the stage. So if you could give us a status update on the curfew and its longevity.
Sure.
And then, as Senator McGuire mentioned, you are in touch now with the State Office of Emergency Services. Let's talk about tomorrow when thousands upon thousands of people are expected to take the streets across Los Angeles and across the state of California.
Well, first of all, let me just say that you are correct. I do think the curfew is making a difference. The people that I have seen on the street now are basically young people who were part of the protests, were clearly not part of the violence because they were not protesters, the people that were vandalizing the city. And so what we have seen over the last couple of nights is that the majority of the arrests have not been for violence, looting, or vandalism. It's been for curfew violation and unlawful assembly. And we've seen the numbers go down. And as you know, tomorrow is a national protest that was planned way before what happened here. And that was a protest that is focused on the military parade that I don't know when, if ever, that has happened in our history. And so there are at least 15 protests that will be taking place in the city of Los Angeles. I am sure there will also be protests in other cities in the county.
When it comes to plans, in terms of keeping people safe and when people are trying to take to the streets, you ask them to demonstrate peacefully.
Exactly.
What about in terms of enforcement?
And so we are comfortable with the law enforcement plan that is in place. It's LAPD, but it's also the sheriffs, as well as some of the surrounding police departments, as well as other counties. So we have enough people here, and there is no need for the National Guard, and there is certainly no need for the U.S. military on the streets of Los Angeles. It's just not necessary. It provokes an outrage because people are already outraged by the raids that have taken place and the stories that you've heard. And then to add on top of it a military presence in our city, it's just uncalled for, not necessary, and makes the situation worse.
Next question over on the end, and then we'll come to
You know what? He asked my question.
Oh, well, good.
Mayor, you didn't talk about how long the curfew will stay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is no termination date. We will see. We are hoping that if the cause of the turmoil ends, which is stopping the raids, then I can almost guarantee you the curfew will go away in short order.
Anyone want to talk about the
Sure.
Just a quick. I just want to add that I know that there are dozens and dozens of civil rights organizations, immigrants' rights organizations like Cherla and Carecen and others, unions, community-based across the city that are working really hard, organizing and to do their best to keep our demonstrations peaceful, strong, and disciplined.
And let me just say, that is a tradition here. These organizations have existed for, my colleague over here said 30 years. I think they go back much further than that. They are institutions here. They know how to have peaceful protests, and that has been their history. But I also want to say, I want to thank all of my colleagues for being here, for taking the time. I know many of you flew in to be a part of this press conference, and we just so appreciate you and appreciate, of course, the legislative leaders. I started this week with a phone conference with over 100 mayors because people are concerned about what's happening. You have seen us come together, over 30 local mayors who have expressed their solidarity with each other, but also their concern. Yesterday, you saw over 100 community leaders that were here, all expressing the same concerns. Unfortunately, everybody is compiling stories, and some of the stories are just absolutely egregious. We don't want our city to be in fear, and ironically, the fear that is described out of Washington is not what is happening at all. It's not fear of protesters. It's fear of the federal government. And what does it mean that I stand here and tell you that Angelenos are fearful of our own government? And that is just something that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable in our democracy, and it is most unacceptable in our city and our county.
Thank you. Hi, Madam Mayor, excuse me. My name is Baruch Gonzalez from Mexico, Canal 11. My question is this. A few days ago, Secretary of Security Kristi Noem mentioned that the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, had encouraged the protest by the Mexican community in
Oh, my goodness.
What's your view on this matter?
Well, first of all, I was so proud to welcome her here when she was a candidate, and then very proud to be there to witness her being sworn in as the first female president of the nation of Mexico. And I just think it is just scandalous that someone would make that allegation. And as I said yesterday, my other colleagues here in Congress, we all served with the secretary. Unfortunately, I don't recognize the person anymore. I don't know who this is.
Do you have some message for Mexicans who are concerned about the situation in LA?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, LA, this was Mexico. LA, a little detail. LA has always welcomed everyone here from around. One of the things I'm the most proud of is that there isn't a country on earth that is not represented here. And I look forward to, in just a year away, having the World Cup here and having all of the countries come in and find that their diaspora is located here. So our pride, our strength is in our diversity and the fact that everybody is represented here. And obviously, that is people from Mexico.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, sorry, I do have one. So I know you've been, the other day you mentioned you were reaching out to the White House and trying to one-on-one with President Trump.
Yes.
Ask him personally to stop the raid. Any luck with that?
Not so much. Not right now. I did put in the requests. I had been talking to members of who are close to the administration, and we will wait and see when I get a response. So I'm still hopeful.
How are you advising Angelenos who are approached by ICE to respond?
Well, you know what? Most importantly, and I know all of us are involved in this, we want to make sure that everyone knows their rights, know what they can do and what they can't do. And that's most important. We have our whole infrastructure of organizations that are involved in that. There is also the rapid response network that organizations have so that if ICE is cited, that people know and they know to be careful. But most important, to know your rights. It's very difficult, and you can imagine very frightening if somebody comes and they have all of this gear on and they're completely masked. And you know that there have been incidences. We haven't seen this happening in LA so far, but there have been a number of incidences of criminals essentially impersonating ICE officers. And so it's really important for the population to know how to distinguish that, whether they should have contact or not, and then, of course, a helpline where they could get legal resources.
Question
Tim from KABC. Do you want to say anything to the business owners and residents?
Sure. Yes. Yes. Well, let me tell you that it was the business owners that came to us because when the protests reached, and again, I'm sorry, let me be clear, it is not the protests, okay? What happens after the protest to people who are not connected when there was looting and violence in terms of going into buildings, breaking windows, and all of that, they were very, very concerned that there had been an escalation and very much pleaded for a curfew. But let me say, though, that this curfew does not mean that people should not be in the downtown area. If you're here to go to a restaurant, if you're here to go to a play, if you're here because you are working, understand that the police are not going to target you. I do think that our police department can make the distinction. Thank you. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Sure.
I just want to add something that was mentioned with our mayor earlier today. There is a massive difference between protesting peacefully and narcissistic agitators who are coming out here to destroy our landmarks in our community, our small businesses and breaking windows. Our elders live in this community. They're my constituents. They're my friends. They're family. And so there is a massive difference between going out there to protest this administration and taking advantage of the situation for your own political clout, for your own gain, and for your own likes on Instagram. This is not what this is about. You are destroying the very movement that you claim to support by being here and destroying our city of angels.
You know, and oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then for our businesses, you have rights as well. And so ICE can only come in to public spaces. So if they're in a parking lot and they're in the lobby, that's a public space. They cannot come inside of the Home Depot. They can't come inside of your mattress center, your auto shop without a judicial warrant. And so businesses, you also have rights. You can look on Attorney General Rob Bonta's website. You can find them there. Thank you.
I would like to just really highlight something that I said in Spanish. I primarily did it because of Spanish media. Very important. As elected officials, and to all our smaller cities, there's 88 cities in LA County. Mayor Bass leads the largest part. There's 87 other cities. As people go and demonstrate our constitutional right to express ourselves tomorrow morning, we elected officials encourage everyone to do it peacefully. Because, as I said in Spanish, do it with a lot of heart. To go and advocate for our immigrant community. And to those that do it violently and wrongly, we do not stand with you. We stand with those that do it peacefully, with heart, and with a lot of courage. Because the moment the one person does a mistake, we get blamed. And I will not stand as a representative, and to all my mayors and council members that are leading peaceful protests out there, join them in doing peacefully. We are better than that. We believe in you, and that's all we ask. Let's show the president and this nation and this world that we Angelenos are strong and that we will demonstrate peacefully. Thank you.
Okay, we're about to wrap up. I just want to mention one point is that now we have Republicans in Congress who are questioning whether or not the leaders of the immigrant rights organizations here were complicit. We're actually like the question about President Sheinbaum, supporting financially the protests. Well, there are members of the immigrant rights community now that are coming under question, which to me is just laying the basis for federal investigations. And so that's why I'm so glad that we have the congressional delegation that we have here in Los Angeles and all of these legislators who have played just an incredible role. Thank you so much. We are going to be here until ICE leaves. Thank you.